I said in an earlier video that I'd love to be able to help people the way that Jesus helped people. In truth, I'd also love to be able to tell stories the way that Jesus tells stories, and I'd love to be able to answer questions the way that Jesus answers questions. Good morning everyone, Brian here. We're in Mark chapter 12. We're getting to the pointy end of the gospel. And in this chapter we see Jesus telling a story. We see Jesus answering some questions. We see him asking a question and silencing his questioners. We see his criticism of those who question him. And then we see a lady acting in a way that really slaps in the face of those religious leaders of the time. And so it begins with this story of the vineyard being rented out, and the owner of the vineyard sending people to collect what was duly his, but those who had been sent, those messengers, being terribly abused. So he sends his son, and the vineyard renters kill him. What will the owner do? Well, it won't be pretty. And it's a direct point to those who claim to be chosen by God and yet are neglecting his ways. Then the questions begin. People who are wanting to trap Jesus in his words. One will use culture. Should we pay taxes to Caesar or not? And Jesus gives that great answer. Give to Caesar what is Caesar and give to God what is God's. Others seek to use theology about a man who dies and his wife is left, and so she marries that guy's brother. He dies as well, so she marries the next brother, and so on and so on. And then the question, at the resurrection, whose wife will she be? Well, interestingly, those who are asking the question don't believe in a resurrection anyway. So it's kind of a dumb question that they're asking. And Jesus turns it back on them. You don't know the scriptures. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. He is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. An interesting passage of scripture, to be sure. And then the question, what is the greatest commandment of all? Jesus gives his answer. Love the Lord your God. The Lord is one. Love with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. And the teacher of the law commends him for his answer. Then Jesus turns the question back on them about David. Why does David say this? The Lord said to my Lord. And so here in the Old Testament is something that's confronting those people about who the Messiah will be. They stopped asking questions after that. Jesus criticizes the scribes and then points to a widow who gives what she has to God. While these guys are fleecing the flock, here is someone who is faithful. She is good news in this gospel story.